Hi, everyone. Thank you for participating in today's webinar, the G Suite Lover's Guide to Working with NetSuite Data. We're happy to have you join us. My name is Janelle, and I'll be the moderator for this webinar. And I'm joined by Chris Corcoran and Justine Berto from Celigo's CloudExtend team. Throughout the webinar, please submit any questions you may have in the chat window. Chris and Justine will answer these at the end of the session. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Justine.
Thank you, Janelle. Thank you everyone for joining today. Let's jump right into the agenda. First, I will give a quick overview of who Celigo is, and then who CloudExtend and the CloudExtend team at Celigo is. I'll then hand it over to Chris, who will talk a little bit about the problem NetSuite and G Suite users face. Then he will discuss integrating G Suite with NetSuite. At that point, we'll do some live demos, discuss pricing, and then open it up for a Q&A session. So a little bit about who we are. Celigo was founded in 2007, and most of you may know Celigo as a company that integrates NetSuite with other applications such as Amazon, Shopify, and Salesforce with what we call smart connectors. That's certainly a part of who we are, but we've evolved into a company that can connect any two systems with our modern iPaaS called integrator.io. IO is designed for tech-savvy business users that need to integrate any two systems together. So what is CloudExtend and who's the CloudExtend team? CloudExtend is a brand of Celigo that focuses on building applications that are used by end users every day, as opposed to applications like smart connectors that run in the background. We've built applications that enable end users to integrate their email, calendars, and documents with NetSuite. Today, we will be discussing CloudExtend G Suite for NetSuite, but we also have a similar application out for Outlook called CloudExtend Outlook for NetSuite. We already help over 5,000 customers with our CloudExtend Gmail and G Suite apps, and we regularly push updates that continually improve our product's performance and add new features to make our customers' lives that much easier. So now that you know who we are, I'm going to hand it over to Chris to discuss the problem we're trying to solve and integrating NetSuite and G Suite.
Okay, great. Thanks, Justine. So for most of you on this call, you're NetSuite users, and you know NetSuite really is an amazing application. You're using it every day. NetSuite is really typically referred to, as you can see in the graphic on the right, as the single source of truth. Users can pull up a customer record. They can see financial history, support cases, user notes, custom records, and a whole lot more. In short, it's really one database for your entire business. And if you're on this call, then you probably live in G Suite for a good part of your business day. And users love G Suite because it's easy to use. It works in a browser. It doesn't matter if you're on a Mac, if you're on a PC. It works on a cell phone. So it's really there wherever you need it. But quite simply, this is the problem, right? So in the middle, we have this kind of do not enter sign. So on one side, you have all of your NetSuite information. It's all siloed on the right side there. Your customers, contacts, transactional data, custom records, and anything else that you may have added to the platform all sit there. And then on the other side, on the G Suite side, you have another silo with all your customer communications, calendar events, file attachments, such as signed customer contracts and more. And then even further complicating the entire process, most email is also siloed from other G Suite users. In other words, it's very likely that you have important communications sitting in your inbox that should be shared with others, and CCing everyone is really not just a viable option. So in order to fulfill the promise of 360-degree visibility, you must be able to get your NetSuite data into G Suite, and vice versa. You want to be able to see your G Suite data inside of NetSuite as well. So here's the solution, right? So we eliminate that do not enter sign that sits in the middle, and that's our value proposition. CloudExtend really helps to remove the barriers between the two silos, and it allows for two-way traffic. Users can actually create an email and then save it to over 100 different NetSuite record types, including custom records. And with CloudExtend, we put you as a user in the driver's seat and give you complete control over what to share into NetSuite. We also make it super easy with an extension that just sits right inside your Gmail, and then a dedicated tab for Google Drive that sits inside your NetSuite instance. So speaking of Google Drive, I mean, NetSuite has a file cabinet, and it has its place. If you want to store copies of auto-generated PDFs such as invoices, it's really easy. On the flip side, the file cabinet can get very expensive over time. So we built a really, really smart integration with Google Drive that allows you to attach files and folders to NetSuite records. And as you'll see later today, sometimes even without even having to sign into NetSuite, And then last, we also built a two-way calendar sync so that you can create and see your events in the system of your choice. For example, if you need to create a calendar event in NetSuite so that you could associate it with a NetSuite record, such as a customer or an opportunity, you'll also see it on your own Google Calendar, which is a really, really great system to use. And the same works in reverse. We find most people will create events on Google Calendar, but there may be a need for them to see those over in NetSuite. So we offer the ability to do a one-way sync from NetSuite to Google, or from Google to NetSuite, or a two-way sync. So as an end user, you have that choice. You can make it, and then that's how it will function from that point forward. So with that, let me turn it over to Justine, and Justine will do demo a few of the features and then hand it back to me.
Awesome, thanks, Chris. So we're going to run through a couple common scenarios here where CloudExtend can help with your day-to-day workflow. First, I'll show how easy it is to save an email and attachment to a NetSuite record for everyone in the company to see. Then I'll show how easily you can update record details in NetSuite from within Gmail. Next up, creating a new NetSuite record directly from within Gmail. And then we'll run through how our calendar sync works in a little bit more detail. And then I'll show you how you can send a Gmail message from within NetSuite. So let me hop over here to my Gmail instance. So let's say I'm a sales rep and I receive an email from my customer letting me know that they have decided to move forward with the deal. They have also attached a signed contract. This email and contract is 100% something as a sales rep that I would find important, that I would want saved into NetSuite for my manager and other people in the company to see. So I'm going to click on this email here and open it up. So when I did that, on the right-hand side in our app, we actually did an auto search in NetSuite. And here we're actually looking for relevant records based on the senders and the recipients of the email. It also searches for 5 or more digits in the subject line. It then displays those records here within the app. We do support almost all NetSuite record types, and this little filter button here actually allows you to decide what record types you want to be pulled back automatically. Now in this case, I want to save this particular email to the customer record, so I'm going to click the radio button here. I also want to include the attachment, so I'm going to click on the Include Attachments buttons here. Now, before I proceed with saving the email, I also want to note that you can use the Search NetSuite Records box up here to search for additional record types that our auto search may not have pulled back. So this actually mimics the NetSuite Global Search. So if I search for Chris Corcoran in our search here, the same exact results would populate if you were doing it in NetSuite. And then you can choose what additional records you want to attach to there. So now I'm actually going to proceed with saving this email. When I hit Save Email, and while this box is spinning, you don't need to sit there and stare at it. You can see it just takes a couple seconds for the email to save successfully. However, you can go into other emails and do whatever you would normally do. Nothing will break that connection. Then you'll see that success message that you saw a second ago, and now your email and that attachment is stored in NetSuite. So the next question is probably where? Where is the email and attachments actually stored? So I'm going to quickly jump over to NetSuite, and I'm going to do that by using this little NetSuite button here. This is actually a little trick to get to NetSuite faster. If I click on that button there, it will open this particular record in a new tab in NetSuite. Now, we actually save the emails to 2 places in NetSuite. One being the Communication tab. So if I click on Communication, you could see that record, that email saved right here. Any files will be stored right here under the Files tab. Now we also, on the far right, have this Gmail tab here. If you click on the Gmail tab, this is going to show just those emails and attachments saved via our app. This is nice because it tends to be less cluttered than the Communication tab, making it a little bit easier to actually find the emails you're looking to reference from Gmail. So as you can see, getting emails into NetSuite is very easy. We tried to make it simple, intuitive, and just a few clicks to do so. So in the next scenario, I actually want to demonstrate how easy and quick it is to update record details within Gmail. So think of a scenario where you might receive an email where you see that the person's information has changed. Maybe it's the phone number, email address, last name, etc., whatever it might be. Without CloudExtend, the sales rep would need to go into NetSuite, search for the contact record, click Edit, update the info, save, etc., possibly even jumping back to Gmail multiple times to copy the data from Gmail and paste it into NetSuite. Although keeping contact information up to date in NetSuite is important, as we all know, let's be honest, it can be tedious and something that an end user may not even do just because it could take too long. So CloudExtend solves this problem. So I'm going to open up this email here, and I could see that this contact is telling me that their phone number has changed. So on the right-hand side, you could see here that we did that search again. And instead of clicking on the radio button to save the email, what I'm actually going to do is click on Athena's name. And when I do that, it's actually going to load the record details here. From there, I'm actually going to click the little pencil here. And once I do that, I'm actually in edit mode. From here, I can copy or simply type my changes into the fields that I want to change here. So let me do that here. And now I'm going to hit update record. Once I do this, it will update the record in NetSuite very, very quickly. And at this point, if I wanted to, I can even save the email directly to the record that I just updated. So this is very, very simple. It's easy and fast, and end users now have no excuse not to keep data in NetSuite up to date. So the next demo that I want to show is that you can actually create new NetSuite records directly from Gmail, in addition to just viewing and editing them. So I'm going to pull up an email that I received from my manager here, and he's asking me to follow up with Adriana Berto in 2 weeks. Again, without CloudExtend, I would need to go into NetSuite, open the new task record, enter in details, save, just a lot of work and a lot of time wasted. With CloudExtend, I can eliminate all that wasted time and quickly click on the plus sign here. And in this particular case, I'm going to create a task, but this can certainly be any other record type. You could see here all the record types we support. So maybe you want to create an opportunity, a lead, a contact, a customer, whatever it is. Once you click on it, in this case, the Create New Task window will pop up. If I go to the bottom right here, you could see that it changes to a little arrow pointing to the far right corner. I can actually drag this, and then I can grab the gray part and move it over. In this particular case, I don't really need to copy any data in, but a lot of times, maybe if you're creating a contact, you'd want to paste phone number, etc. in. So you do have that option to make it smaller and drag it over there. So now I'm just going to enter in some information here and create my task just like I normally would. And we'll make it a high priority because that's my manager telling me to reach out. And I'll make this 2 weeks away. And then I'll hit save just like I normally would if I was in the NetSuite UI. And in a second, you'll see that the task is now created. And again, at that point, if I wanted to, I actually could save this newly created, save this email to this newly created task. So again, creating, viewing, editing data all within NetSuite, all within Gmail is quick, easy, and it's just a way to eliminate that need to jump over to NetSuite, enter all the information here, search, do all that in NetSuite, and then come back to Gmail and do it from there. So let's see. Up next, I actually want to talk a little bit about the calendar sync, which Chris had touched on a moment ago. So our calendar sync is a bi-directional sync between your NetSuite and Google Calendar. So if you're creating events in NetSuite to start, they will sync over to Google in real time. Now, if you're doing it vice versa, which probably most of you are, it can take up to 30 minutes to sync back to NetSuite. So you could see here, this is my actual calendar, and I always create my events in Google. When I do that, they will sync back over, as you could see here in NetSuite. But I want to point out that you can actually add this custom portlet here and click Import Your Events Now. This is almost like a manual sync. So when you do that, it will manually sync those events that were created in Google if you didn't want to wait that 30 minutes for it to sync back over. So our calendar sync is easy. There's nothing end users have to do differently. Everything syncs in the background, and no matter where you want to start with your events, whether it's NetSuite or Google, it will sync over. All right, and lastly, before I pass it back over to Chris for a recap and to talk about Google Drive, I want to actually show how you can send a Gmail message from within NetSuite. So I'm actually going to hop over to this contact record, and I'm pulling up a contact record, but this can be any record, doesn't really matter. And if you're on that Gmail tab that I showed you a few minutes ago, if you click on that, you'll notice that there's this compose button here. So when you click on that, what happens is here, the Gmail compose frame will populate. We will enter in the email address associated on the account for you. And then from here, you can simply type out your email, hit send and save, which once this loads here, I'll show that. And the email will be sent. It will be in your Gmail sent folder, and it will also directly save to the record. So there's a lot of times where end users are working out of NetSuite but want to have all their emails go through Gmail, including that first email. When you start an email in NetSuite using NetSuite's native emailing system, that first email is not saved in Gmail. So that's one big reason why customers love using this. Everything's in Gmail, and it also will save to the record. So it's a really cool feature, and we have lots of customers using it today. So that's what I have so far for these demos. I hope you see all the value that CloudExtend has to offer. And I'm going to hand it back over to Chris and switch back to our slides here. And Chris, I'll hand it back over to you to talk about Google Drive before I jump into the demo of that.
Okay, awesome. Great demo. Thanks, Justine. And I also want to just point out one cool feature about sending that first email from NetSuite using Gmail. And that means that all those back and forth replies won't automatically show up. So if you've got 20 different back and forth replies and only 3 or 4 are very important, you won't clutter up that communication tab, because end users can then selectively decide which emails they want to attach to the NetSuite record. And almost as important, you don't get that kind of funky NetSuite return email address that causes some concern for customers that receive those. So with that, we'll talk a little bit about Google Drive, and then Justine will jump into a demo of Google Drive, and then we'll talk about pricing and answer any questions. So for those of you, if you're on this webinar and you're using G Suite, you're probably also using Google Drive. And since you have it and it's really dirt cheap, I really highly recommend you take advantage of it and use it in place of the NetSuite file cabinet when you can. Besides saving money, using the Google Drive also ensures that there's only one document as a single source of truth. So with Google Drive, you might have, whereas NetSuite, you might have multiple versions of your docs and spreadsheets. It can become difficult to track which one is the most recent. You might have to delete one, then upload a new Word document, etc. Where using Drive, everyone has access to the same document. Updates that are made to that document will show up inside in NetSuite in real time with our application. And then in addition, your documents are now portable. So you're probably never going to leave NetSuite. We wouldn't want to promote that, but face it, some things, sometimes things happen and you end up leaving one ERP system for another one. So having your documents live in Drive makes them very, very portable. So by being smart and planning ahead, save your files in Google Drive. With our app, as Justine will show in just a second, you'll be able to see them in NetSuite in just the right place, whether it's a customer folder, a project folder, etc. And then those with access to NetSuite can just access them with one click without having them tied to your CRM or ERP renewal system. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Justine, and she'll do her final demo. She'll open NetSuite, attach Google Drive files and folders to NetSuite, and then she'll also show you how to do that from Gmail itself as well. Thanks, Justine.
Yeah, thanks so much, Chris. I'm really excited to show this component of our app. I talk to customers every day who use it, and whenever I demo it to prospects, they really, really do love it. It's really an easy way to manage all your files and folders. So there's a couple of things that I want to show. First, I want to show how you can actually attach a file or a folder to a NetSuite record. So again, in this demo, I'm on a customer record, but this could be any record. And you could see here that I have this folder attached, and inside of that folder I have a PDF, and then I have some more folders with files in there, and then I just have a single PDF attached here. In a second, I will discuss more about the folder functionality, but for now, I just want to show how you can actually attach another file or folder. So when you're on this Google Drive tab, there's this Attach File Folders button here. Once you click on that, Google Drive pops up. So from here, there's different ways to search. You could basically go into your folder, search that way to find what you're looking for. You can go to the search bar. You can even go to Shared with Me. We do support Team Drive as well. So if you're on Team Drives, we do support that. But what I actually want to show here is a cool way that you can actually upload files from your computer, drop it into a folder in Google Drive, and then upload it to the record. So I'm actually just going to pull over a document from my other monitor here, drag it in, and I'm not going to add it to a particular folder right now. I'll just add it to Google Drive for the purposes of the demo. And then I'm going to hit upload. And in a second, we'll see a check mark here. I'll know it's successfully attached. And now, just like that, the document's in Google Drive. It's also attached to this particular customer record here. So this is a really easy way to get your files and folders attached. And once this loads here in a second, I'll just refresh here and you'll see that that's attached. Sorry, let's give it a second here. Sometimes it tends to be slow. Oh, looks like we have an error, which could potentially be because I was doing some testing before this and I may have done something in Google Drive. But in any case, you should get a check mark there. If you ever get an error, it's something that we can definitely solve for you. So let me jump into the folder functionality. So this is really a cool feature of the app. So think about a role like a project manager. Managers typically will have a project record inside of NetSuite that holds all of the details related to the project, such as resources on the project, time billed, project documents, etc. And not everyone involved in a project usually has access to NetSuite, but most will have access to Google Drive. So if you create a folder in Google Drive and then associate that folder with a NetSuite project, any documents added to that folder will then automatically appear in the project record itself. So as an example here, I have this Socially Savvy Studio folder attached here. If I go into Google Drive now, or other people do, and drop things into that folder, that's all you have to do. If you go back to the record and hit refresh, if the demo gods are on my side now, you will see that is now in there. So it's really easy as long as you have those folders attached to where you need them to be into NetSuite. Lastly, I want to show one more thing with the Google Drive component, which is a very popular way to get documents into Google Drive directly from Gmail. So I'm just going to open up this email here. And let's say you wanted to attach this to Google Drive and not use the Include Attachments button here, which will go to your NetSuite filing cabinet. If you hover over whatever it is you want to attach, in this case, this PDF, and you click on the Google Save to Drive button, it will add it to your drive here, and then you can organize it. And since I already have that Socially Savvy Studio Google Drive folder attached to the record, I could simply move it in here, and now it will be attached to that folder in NetSuite on the customer record. So that's a nice way to do it directly from Gmail if you want to not use that filing cabinet by including attachments here. So I'm going to pass it back over to Chris to do a product recap, and then we'll talk about pricing, installation, and then we'll open it up for a QA session.
Okay, great. And just so everyone knows, we are recording this, so we'll be able to send a recording out after the call. And I encourage you to type your questions into the Q&A window so we can answer them at the end in just a few minutes. So a quick final recap. We learned earlier, most customers' Gmail, Calendar, and Drive files are siloed from NetSuite. And savvy business users know how important it is to have this data in NetSuite so that everyone in the company has access to it in just the right places. As an example, account managers can quickly see important communications. Finance managers know exactly where to find signed contracts. Sales managers can see all of their sales reps' activities either in NetSuite or in the Google Calendar. As sales people transition into and out of the company, there's a full history there, so they don't have to go back into someone's Gmail account and start trying to find Gmails that were associated with a particular person. Everything's there inside NetSuite. Excuse me. Now, users can resort to using NetSuite for their communications, but given the choice, most are going to prefer to use Gmail. As managers, you want to let people work in the system that they're most comfortable with, and I would argue that using NetSuite to handle your communications would actually result in less adoption than if you would just let them use Gmail. We discussed a little bit earlier how customers could get confused when they see that long email address assigned by NetSuite. And while native NetSuite allows you to send your email from NetSuite, to me, there's a number of disadvantages. First, that first email, as Justine indicated earlier, is only going to show from NetSuite. It won't be sitting there in your sent items folder. And then only the replies will be in your Gmail. So you don't want to see every back and forth show up on the communications tab. That's why using Gmail to send your emails and then attach them is super critical. For example, if you're negotiating with 5 back and forth emails over a time to have a meeting, those 5 emails are unnecessary. You don't need to see those inside NetSuite, but you'll clutter up your communications tab and it'll get so filled up that users will probably stop using it and then just resort to going to a manual note section or something along those lines. So from my perspective, there's really no other product out there that's as easy to use as CloudExtend. The ease of use of CloudExtend combined with the ability to selectively share content will definitely lead to increased adoption of NetSuite as your CRM, helping you get a better return on your investment. So with that, let me just hand it back over to Justine. She'll talk a little bit about installation and then pricing and even tell you a little bit about our mobile version.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. And just like our app, the installation process is really straightforward. And just so everyone knows, we do provide a 14-day free trial. And once you sign up, we do provide a step-by-step guide, which I'm going to outline right now. So your NetSuite admin can install this NetSuite bundle, and this is very easy to do, and we do have support to guide you along the way. After the bundle is installed, there's a license manager within NetSuite, and that's where you go to allocate licenses to end users. Once those licenses are allocated, the end users will receive an email directly from Celigo with how to download the extension, which is a simple download from the Chrome store. So if you go to the Chrome store, search Celigo or CloudExtend, our app will pop right up and you can click add. Once it's added, you can start using the Gmail component right away. Also, I actually send out a welcome email to every new end user with recommended settings and how to get started. So installation is very straightforward, and we can have you up and running in less than 30 minutes. We also do offer end user trainings completely free of charge. I find them very successful. We want to make sure everyone's onboarded properly and using our app successfully. So now you could see here on the number 3 line here that we do offer a free edition and a mobile edition of CloudExtend. We call this app Gmail Lite, and it's a Google add-on rather than a Chrome extension. I just want to discuss the differences between the Google add-on and the Chrome extension a little bit, just so everybody is familiar with the two here. So because Chrome extensions are not supported in Gmail on a mobile app, we built a light version of our app using what's called a Google add-on. Add-ons are very new and their APIs are somewhat limited, but they have one advantage over extensions, and that is they work on mobile. So free users can use the add-on on their mobile device or in their browser. It's currently only available for Android users. Once Google and Apple enable broad support for add-ons for Gmail and iOS, iPhone users will have access as well. Paid users will use the add-on on their mobile device and should always use our faster and more feature-rich Chrome extension when working in the browser. And that Chrome extension is what I've been demoing during this webinar. This graphic covers some of the differences between the Google add-on and the Chrome extension. But in short, if you're an enterprise customer, you should use the Chrome extension while working online and the add-on while working on your mobile. Free users, you really only have one choice, and that is that you have to use the add-on in both places. So next up, I want to just show some screenshots of what it looks like to save an email on an Android device. So first up, once you receive an email and you scroll to the bottom of that email, you'll see our little icon here. Once you click on that icon, you'll have some options here. In this case, I want to search NetSuite because I want to look for this particular customer to attach to the customer record. So once I click search NetSuite, you'll see I chose that I want to search for a customer. I typed in the customer name, and then I hit search. Down here, we'll do that same process where we will search for results in NetSuite and find them and put them here. So here you could see it found the customer record, and by clicking on this little arrow with the going into the cloud, that will attach the email to NetSuite, and you'll know it's successful because you'll see this little pin once it's been added. So the process for attaching emails via your Android device is very straightforward. It's very simple. I personally use it internally all the time, and it's very, very easy. It's similar to the extension, but there are some differences there. So I just like to point out that because, like I said, we do have both versions and just want to make it clear which version does what. So let's really quickly discuss the pricing model. So pricing is pretty straightforward and comes in 3 editions: the free edition, Gmail Enterprise Edition, and G Suite Enterprise Edition. And as discussed, the free edition or Gmail Lite edition is limited to the Google add-on and only allows you to attach up to 20 emails a month. The Gmail Enterprise Edition here in the middle gives you everything included in the free edition, plus the ability to attach unlimited emails and file attachments. You can create, view, and edit NetSuite records directly in Gmail. You can also send Gmail messages from within NetSuite. SSO and TBA is supported, and as mentioned, we offered free onboarding and training to end users. So we sell this in blocks of 25 users, with the first block costing $1,500 a year. If you need more than 25 users, we cut any additional blocks of 25 in half. So additional blocks above and beyond the first 25 are an additional $750 a year. Next up, the Gmail Enterprise Edition, which includes Gmail, Calendar, and Google Drive Sync. So it's the entire suite. So you get everything included in the Gmail Enterprise Edition, plus the plus the bidirectional calendar sync, and the ability to attach those Google Drive files and folders to NetSuite records. And this edition also comes in blocks of 25, with the first being $3,600 a year. And again, if you need more than 25, we do cut those additional blocks in half, making any additional blocks of 25 $1,800 a year. So that's how our pricing model works. I hope you've enjoyed our webinar today and our demonstrations. And I'm going to hand it back over to Janelle, and we will open it up to the Q&A session and get some of your questions answered. So Janelle,
Great.
I will hand it back to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Justine and Chris, for going through that content. Great to see the demos there as well. We have had several questions come in, so we're just going to start going through these. First of all, how are permissions handled for Google Drive documents?
Great, Chris, I'll take this one. I actually meant to mention that while I was going through the demo. We respect all permissions of Google Drive. So if somebody tries to click on a PDF or whatever it is in Google Drive in NetSuite, and they don't have access to that in Google Drive, they will get that same error asking them to ask for permission that they would get in Google Drive. So we do respect all the permissions of Google Drive. And just to add to that also, we respect all the permissions of NetSuite when you're using the Gmail component. So because you can create those new records, if you can't do it in NetSuite, you won't be able to do it in our app either.
Okay, great. The next question that came in is, I'm a sales manager and I want to ensure my sales guys are actually attaching emails. I may also want to report on this for KPI purposes. Can you track who is attaching emails?
Yeah, absolutely. So we support last sales activity. So you can definitely see anything saved via our app there. Also, there's different ways you could do that. You can actually create a saved search if you wanted to. And then you can also, there's a custom portlet you can add to your dashboard, and you can from there filter. So you can filter maybe on sales rep or filter on a date range, and you could see who's attaching what to what records in NetSuite.
Great. So this all looks awesome for attaching to one email. Can I just have all of my emails synced instead of clicking on each one?
I can take that. It's a really good question. I would say it's an enhancement coming soon. So currently the app's designed to give end users the option of what emails they want to save and what records they want to send them to. So we're not auto-attaching anything. Our philosophy from the beginning was that you want to avoid any clutter inside of NetSuite, but we are building an enhancement that should be available in early 2019, kind of giving users the best of both worlds. You'll have the ability to, when you attach that first message, to check off a box that would say auto attach all the follow-up back and forth emails just for this thread. So that way, once you set it, you can kind of forget it, and all those back and forths will show up in Gmail and in NetSuite. And then if there's another thread that comes in, we won't automatically attach, not another thread, another email that comes in. You would go through that process again. So the last thing I think you really want to do is have 100,000 emails inside NetSuite, so you can choose on a thread by thread basis or an email by email basis which ones you want to attach.
Great, thank you. So another question that came in is, I only saw a few fields when you edited the contact record. Is it possible to control which fields are displayed?
Chris, if you want to take that one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the answer is yes. So there is we give you the ability to select which fields, including custom fields that you want to see. There's a kind of a pencil icon, like that edit icon, where you can choose all the fields. And then when you save it, next time you go to view a contact or edit a contact, you'll see all those fields as well.
Great. Okay, the next question is, can I write an email in NetSuite to be sent in a future date?
Okay, so let me think about this for a second. So I think when you're asking if you want to write an email in NetSuite, you probably don't mean a native NetSuite email. You probably want to use our application so you could pull up a Gmail to then send it at a future date. I've never tried this, but I'm thinking the answer is likely yes. So you could use an app like Boomerang, which gives you the ability to send later. The new Gmail might even have that option. So you'd be able to send that. You just want to make sure you click on that Celigo send and save icon. And then once you do that, that email should drop into NetSuite. It'll show in NetSuite right away, but it won't be sent to the customer until the time and date that you send it. We'll have to try that out and validate that, and I'll make a note to get back to the group or the individual who asked that question if we have that info.
Yeah, absolutely great. Thank you, Chris. The next question is, do I need to have a NetSuite license in order to add a new lead or to create an oppo?
Yes, so creating new leads, creating new opportunities, any NetSuite records, we use NetSuite web services to communicate with NetSuite. So because you need to have a full access license to create leads and opportunities, the same thing applies for our app.
Okay, great. The next question that came in, going through all of these, we've got a lot of them coming in, and please feel free, folks, if you have other questions, feel free to enter them. We're going to try to make our way through all of these here. Can I enter new items in Gmail, which will be synced to NetSuite?
Okay, so I think, and I'll kind of, and again, if please write back if I'm not paraphrasing your question correctly. But I believe you're asking if you can, just like when Justine created a new contact by clicking the plus sign, that, can you create a new item? And the answer is yes. So you can create inventory items, non-inventory items, etc.
Okay, great. And then I'm using inboxgmail.com. Will I need to use Gmail?
No, we support really there's I would call 3 versions of Gmail out there now. So there's Inbox, which is actually going away, but that is supported right now. And then there's kind of what I call now the old Gmail. It was just replaced recently with the new Gmail. So we really support all 3.
Great. Can you send Gmail message from SO or estimate record to a client or contact?
The answer is yes. So I think Justine demonstrated it from using our send from Gmail from a customer or a contact record, but you can just as easily do that from a sales order, work order, etc. Yep, no problem at all.
Okay, and can you reply and forward Gmail messages from NetSuite?
No, you can't. So, well, I'm going to say kind of. So you'll see those messages inside NetSuite. So if you choose to reply to the message within NetSuite, so you go to the communication tab, open the message, and click reply, then that email can be replied to, but you'll be sending it from NetSuite. So that reply, unless you BCC'd yourself, is not going to show up in your sent items folder. So I would highly recommend just replying from Gmail itself. It's also a lot easier.
I do know that has been an enhancement request from customers as well that we have in there.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, great. Does the demonstrate function extend beyond the client record, i.e. is this the same functionality available on an SO record, WO record, etc.?
Yep, so same answer as the last one. So just because Justine showed it on a customer or a contact record, the same functionality exists, including Google Drive, by the way. So you could be on an opportunity record and then attach a signed contract to that opportunity, or you can attach the signed contract to the customer record. You can click the send from Gmail button on either one.
And we also support custom records too.
Good point, right.
Okay, great. The next question that came in is, if I won't have all the communications in NetSuite, they'll be on Gmail. Will Gmail be crowded?
Yes, I think if you look at most people's Gmail, it's going to be really crowded. But one of the nice things about Gmail is it's really easy to search, right? So you can quickly search and say, give me a list of all messages to Joe Smith between December 1st and December 31st regarding something else. So Gmail is really searchable, but I think that's kind of the point of our app, right? So that you want to be able to get rid of that clutter inside Gmail and turn 100,000 somewhat important messages into just a couple thousand that are really, really critical for other people in the company to see.
Okay, great. Another question is, does this only work with the CRM piece of NetSuite? They're interested more in being able to attach support documents to the vendor bills.
Yeah, so you can, yeah, go ahead, Justine.
Yeah, I was just going to say that you can absolutely do that, and we have lots of customers doing it for exactly that. So I would, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. Do you also have this suite for the Microsoft Office 360 package in OneDrive?
So I'll kind of take this one on. So we do have a very similar integration called Outlook for NetSuite, and we recently just had an Outlook lovers guide to working with NetSuite as well. And you can find that on our website, cloudextend.io.
Great. Is there a capability to attach an email from my mobile device?
Yes, there actually is. And Justine, I think you have, maybe you can go back and kind of show, there's 3 or 4 different parts of the slide here, and we can kind of show that in action.
Yep.
So what you're seeing here is on the bottom right, this is an email. On the bottom right is our icon. So click that icon, and then you go to the next screen. And on that screen, it pulls up our application. In this case, we want to click Search NetSuite. And when you click on Search NetSuite, you can type in the name of the customer, et cetera, you're searching for. They'll pop up on the bottom. You click that little arrow on the bottom right to upload it. And in about 2 or 3 seconds, you'll see that arrow will turn into a pin, indicating that the email was attached successfully. Now, as Justine mentioned earlier, the app is supported right now on Gmail for Android devices. We've built it to work on Gmail, and once Apple and Google enable add-ons on Gmail for iOS, our app should just work.
Okay, great. Can you reply and forward Gmail messages from NetSuite?
So I think that's a similar question to the first one. So the answer is, as Justine mentioned, it's an enhancement request to be able to actually reply to an email or forward an email from inside NetSuite using Gmail. But you always have the option, right? Because you're using Gmail, so that's a really great place to do that. So you always have the option of just doing it from Gmail itself.
Okay, great. One more question that has come in, and are there Google Map features? For example, if you create a Google Map for your sales directors in order to track customers and targets, is there a way for that information to be uploaded into NetSuite?
So, I mean, NetSuite natively has a map feature. So our app doesn't particularly, isn't designed to work with Google Maps per se. But if you have a particular document that has Google Maps embedded in it, you can certainly attach that. But again, native NetSuite, if you click open up an address block, there's a little icon at the bottom. You can click on that icon, and that's going to show that address on the Google Map. Please, you'll see my or Justine's email address here on the slide right now. If you can email Justine with some more particulars about what you want to do, maybe we could offer some advice or take it up as an enhancement request.
Okay, great. And then the last question that we have here is, can you walk through, is there implementation regarded with this, or how do you get started?
Sure, I'll take this one on, Chris. So it really is plug and play. We can get you up and running in 30 minutes. So first, there's a bundle install, which our solution consultant walks you through. After that's done, you allocate licenses to end users. End users receive that email with how to download the extension. Once they download it, they're good to go. That's really all there is to it. And then from there, like I mentioned, we do offer end user trainings, which I highly recommend. Those are actually held by myself. I do them all the time with end users, and they've been very successful just to make sure that everyone knows how it's running. We do provide a lot of support afterwards as well. We have a dedicated support team on our CloudExtend team here. We have this we have a help center where you can actually chat with us in-app. So we have a lot available resources after the fact as well. But in terms of implementation, very easy, very quick. There's a $300 implementation fee, and that's really all there is to it.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank you all again for spending time with us today, and thank you, Chris and Justine, for walking through that. Some great information was shared. If you have any additional questions that didn't come up at this time, make sure, we will be reaching out, and so you can feel free to ask us at that point. As a reminder, we did record the session too, so we'll be sending that out as well. Thank you all again, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks,
everyone.